Hi all, thank you so much for joining in this second video series of playing the flute or anyone can play the flute. So the first video was a success and a lot of people gave me good reviews saying that the M technique and the 45 degrees blowing methodology really worked for you all. I'm very glad with that, and on that note I decided to do another second series on flute fingering technique. So I've looked at the blowing technique and now we are going to delve into fingering technique. And this particular technique that I'm going to share with you all is actually a technique that is very profound, and it's not taught by many gurus or teachers because it is very musical in nature and very innate to performance. So the gist of today's lesson is sound should be attached to the fingering position. Do not make fingering position the primary focus on performing the bamboo flute, whereas the sound should take precedence. When you have the sound in mind and when you are playing and connecting your fingering to the sound, there are profound musicality development. This is linked to my music development course that I had mentioned earlier on the video 1. So let's delve straight into the point where I'm going to introduce you to the 3 flutes that I have expertise on, or I'm learning to delve better on it. And let me share what I've learned so far. So there are 3 variation flutes, and somehow I'm learning how to configure with different fingering, because on the Western flute itself you need to train how to play on different fingering configuration, because there are the major scales, there's the minor, melodic minor, harmonic minor. On the jazz there's the 8 note dominant scales, there is the diminished scales, there's the whole tone scale. There's so many things that's going on in the Western music world. On the Indian flute, it's more about the tonal center and how you explore different ragas and whatnot. But if you can shift across hereditary finger position, which means you are building that ability to connect your fingering position to the sound. This is the very essence of playing the Indian bamboo flute. This is a technique that takes years to develop, and I've already started relearning some of my old practices, and I wanted to share this art with you all. And for more further research into this, and if you want to learn more about this art of playing, contact me via my email or contact number, which I've left it at the comment section below. So description section, sorry. So let's delve into the 7 basic swaras of the Indian classical music system. So what are they? Sa, Sajam, which is hold your flute with the C section as I mentioned earlier on. Cover all the holes, tag it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and play Sa. Sa is the first 2 finger in the South Indian Carnatic Venu. The next note, Rishabham, Re. Just remove 1 finger and that's Re. Good. The next note, Gandhara. Remove the 3rd finger and no finger should be there except this pinky finger for support. The next note, Madhyamam. Cover everything. This could be a bit tricky, but you can do it. Leave everything up there and leave up the 1st finger. Next note, Panchamam. Leave the last 2 fingers up. 1, 2. Yes, lift it up and blow. The next note, Daivadam. Just have to leave the next consecutive finger from the right. And then Ni. Remove this finger and you have 3 fingers now. This is Ni, flat Ni, Nishadam. And then, of course, the next octave of the tonic, Sajam. This raga that I played, it's called Hari Kamboji, and it doesn't have any sharps or any, in manner there isn't any half notes. You wouldn't say sharp or flat, more there isn't any combination of these openings. So it's very straightforward raga, and this should be used to learn the fingering technique on the flute. So we have talked about the South Indian Carnatic Venu. I want to make this video very concise, and I'm going to move on into the North Indian classical bamboo flute, also known as the Bansuri. So Bansuri is a 6-hole bass flute. It can be also in treble, but this is the bass flute for this context. So let's visit the fingering options on this bamboo flute. So you saw the Carnatic fingering, and now I'm going to shift to the Hindustani Bani. This is very useful to play Hindustani music or Bengali music, Bangla music systems. So you might need to use this music, this combination. So Sajja, also known as Sajjam in Carnatic, it's actually a 3 finger. This is Sa. 1, 2, 3, Sa. Next note, Rishabha, 2 fingers. Next note, Gandhar, 1 finger. The next note, Madhya, Divra Madhya. For the context of this flute, for the ease of playing the fingering, get the fingering right first, then you can explore what are the swaras. Panjama, all the fingers down except the first finger. Daivada, last finger up. Nishada, the next consecutive finger up. You should have 4 fingers right now. And then the last note, the octave, the tonic, octave of the tonic, the highest octave. The next octave, sorry. So this is how you should be practicing the fingering. Get hold of the fingering first. That takes precedence first. It takes a bit more months to get on that. Or even, yes, don't put time onto this. Take your time to learn. Maybe delve into a one primary fingering first. Once you have connected it, and then connect the sound to different fingering. So this is for the North Indian Bansuri lovers who want to pick up the North Indian. North Indian music. You should start with this configuration because it's easy. There's no komal, or there's the divra here. There's no half notes to be played, which is difficult if you haven't mastered fingering. Next, I'm going to introduce you the very basic of the Western flute. Western flute, of course, you can play different configurations. There's so many possible finger techniques. If you were to practice this flute, the other fingering configurations on the Indian bamboo flute will be a bit easier. But it works vice versa as well. The blowing techniques on the Indian bamboo flute will make your tonality on the Western flute better. This is my personal preference as well. So if you're talking about major scales, of course, there's a and so on and so forth. So we have the 12 major scales, and then there's the melodic minor, harmonic minor. There's the modal shift where you take a major and you shift to 7 modes and whatnot. There's the jazz, of course, there's the 8-note dominant scale. There's a bebop scale, which I'm still learning, which I'm still dwelling onto this, and I'll share as we go about this journey. So, how do you start on the Western flute? Bearing in mind that you're also learning the other bamboo flutes. Attach your sound. So I'm going to teach today C major scale, the very first natural scale on a Western music system. C major, holding position of the Western flute is similar, yeah, but just that the pinky finger now needs to be placed here. And then just tag it 1, 2, 3, 4. Leave this pinky on top of here. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Of course, with the thumb rest here. And of course, when you're doing a C, the C is just this finger with no contact anywhere else except the last finger. This is C. Next note is a D. So the D position takes the Madhyama role, where you have to just bring everything down except the first finger and the last. E natural, the next key. So just pull up the last finger, ring finger you have. The next F, just pull out the next other finger, the 2 fingers up there, and then we have next note G. Just have to pull out this thing, and we have 1, 2, 3 with that on hold as well, the thumb key. A, the next note is A, so just have to pull out this with 2 fingers, 1, 2, A. And then we're going to B natural, where this thumb will go on to the natural key, just shift it down with the first finger on place. and the last note, the octave of the tonic. Of course, as a low octave, we wouldn't be going into that. Get this fingering out first. So what we have learned today, let's recap. So we have learned that sound takes precedence and we are attaching the fingering combinations to the sound. Please bear this in mind. This is the very essence of playing the bamboo flutes or the western flute, or playing the flute. If you ask how versatile musicians do it, they can bop from fusion, they can do hybridity, they can do these two variations just with ease because they are masters of sound. Secondly, we have talked about the different combinations of the South Indian flute, and there's the North Indian bamboo flute with the sa taking the role of 3 fingers, where the sa in the South Indian is 2 fingers. And of course, going over to the Western music, which is the C major, there's so much to cover and it's beyond the scope of this video. This video is just a glimpse of my lessons, of whatever my students are learning. So if you want to delve into this art of playing, because we take a very Asian and a very modern perspective to music itself, and of course with traditions in mind, always respecting the roots. So if you want to learn versatile music, be versatile and know how you actually do it. Not that I'm mastered this, but I have gone through this training and I'm looking at music very differently. So I want to share this beautiful experience with you people. So if you want to learn from me, feel free to email me. Only serious learners, please. Because prior to this video, I had people messaging me, but nobody wanted to really follow up with lessons or wanted to be disciplined with this art form. Remember, if you are here passionately, this might become a profession for you. Passion will become profession if you put in your time. Other than, have a good day, and I will catch you in the next video where I'll be talking about how you play different skills and how do you really practice effectively. Have a good day.